Hello, folks. You're all very welcome back to the Celtic Show podcast. I'm Andrew Milne, and joining me on this episode of the podcast for a second appearance is our good friend Vicenç over in Barcelona, our man in Spain. Celtic have just signed Haissem Hassan, and we got a quick look at him. He came on as a substitute on Saturday in Celtic's 4-0 win over Dundee United in the League Cup. And I've just asked this young man to come on and give us a bit of info because he played in La Liga most of his senior career. So, firstly, how are you, pal? And I believe La Liga started this weekend in Spain, so you're probably busy enough following that.
Yes. The first match was in Saturday, Alaves Getafe, that Alaves won 3-0. Let's see, the big teams will play next weekend. Madrid will play against Espanyol, Barcelona against Elche. Let's see, Barcelona is going to sing Rodri from Manchester City. Also, Cancelo is coming to Camp Nou. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, and you have Mourinho now in charge of Real Madrid, so it should be good fun this season. He always brings entertainment wherever he goes.
Yes. Well, we will see.
Plenty
It's an
ahead.
exciting season. The third from Hansi Flick and the bench. So we are looking forward to win the Champions League.
So
It's the main objective.
what's the prediction for Barcelona? So
It's difficult to say, but I think the league and the cup are going to be won. And let's see a Champions League. Also, the final is played here in Spain, in Madrid. So there are a lot of expectations.
I was in Madrid the last time the Champions League final was there for Liverpool and Tottenham. It was a good weekend in the city. I had no interest in any of the teams, but it was still a good experience and a good weekend to be in Madrid. Right, back to our man Hassan. So you know his stats are good. He's been in Spain. He originally was with Villarreal. He's been in Spain. He impressed against Argentina in the World Cup, but his team were relegated. So what can we expect from Haissem Hassan in Glasgow?
Haissem Hassan is a top player. He has an excellent ability in dribbling. He is excellent also in ball carrying, but he needs to improve his making decision in the final third. I have here some data about him. For example, Haissem Hassan has been the last season completed 143 successful dribbles. It was the fifth player in the top 5 leagues that completed the most. Only Lamine Yamal, Vinícius Junior, Kenan Yildiz, and Jeremy Doku completed more. So it's a very top player. He has a lot of quality in his feet. The both feet he's comfortable with both feet. He has scored goals with both of them. So we will see. He has data that shows that he is good in dribbling. For example, it was the player that has ball carrying compared to the balls that he received. He's the player that carried more balls or run more about the 5 leagues, the top 5. So it's a player that in Oviedo it's a little team. As you said, he ended up the league last season at the bottom of the league at 15 points, I think, from the teams that maintain the category. So many of the balls that Hassan received were at his own pitch. So he had to run, he had to carry the ball to make his team progress. So for this reason, you will see that Hassan, in many datas, he leads that team of ball carrying data because of that. Because he always received the ball at his own pitch.
Yeah, and when he arrived at the club, he although he didn't, come on for a cameo role on Saturday, Martin O'Neill did say that since the World Cup he hasn't done much training and he's not match fit. So the best of him is still to come. He's got some minutes in his legs, but I don't think, or I could be wrong, but I don't think he'd be ready for the big start against Lask in the Champions League for the home game anyway, until he gets up to speed. But with Oviedo and Celtic, they didn't have a recognised striker last season, same as Celtic. Thankfully now we have two top quality strikers in who are scoring goals, Hu and Duran. So he will have more of a target to give the ball to. So hopefully that we see his strengths there. But just take us back to last season, because Martin O'Neill has spoken after we signed him, saying that we were tracking him since last year, and we tried to sign him in January, but Oviedo were in a relegation dogfight, so they wouldn't release him. So, what was his season like last year with them? Because it can't be easy as an attacking player when you're in a team that is generally defending.
Yes, Oviedo came back to the league last season. It was the first time that he played in the first division after many years, and had a difficult start. He changed of trainer. Also, the end of the season, he also changed. Hassan had three, four trainers in one season, so you can see that it was very difficult for him to adapt to all the people that go to the bench. Also, it is worth to say that Hassan has a difficult character. I think that Martin O'Neill will have to work a lot on that. For example, 1 year ago, I think it was the third match of Oviedo in La Liga, or the fourth, Hassan came back in the second half, I think, and then he made an assist to Den Donker that played in Aston Villa. So, and Hassan go to his trainer and started to shout, "Put me again on the bench, put me again on the bench," saying that when I am playing, things happen. So the next time you don't have to put me in the bench because we will lose. He has this kind of character. Something is causes a lot of problems. So Martin O'Neill will have to work a lot on that.
Yeah, Martin O'Neill is regarded as one of the best man managers in the game. When he was here the first time around, he had a lot of big players in the team, a lot of big characters, a lot of personalities. He was able to put his arm around them. And one player in particular, when he came in the first time, was Bobby Petter. Bobby had signed the season before under John Barnes and had an absolute nightmare. And he admits himself he was hiding on the pitch. He couldn't settle. He'd come up from Ipswich, and Martin came in and put his arm around him. And in those early games under Martin O'Neill, Bobby stood out. We beat Rangers 6-2 in the first, what was then the Old Firm. In Martin's first Old Firm game, we won 6-2. Bobby was man of the match. When we went to Amsterdam to play in the Champions League, he scored against Ajax. So this was a player that had no confidence, and all of a sudden Martin had put his arm around him and got the best out of him. And then he continued to do that with a lot of players. And when I've interviewed many of the players from his teams when he was here the first time, and they all have so much respect for him, and every one of them talks about his man management skills, because he's not on the training ground. They said he might appear on a Friday, but and when he gave a team talk, everybody listened when he walked into the room. So hopefully that will rub off on Hassan, because there are senior players there, and we've had players. I remember when Martin came in first, we had El Berkovic. He didn't last long under Martin O'Neill because he had an attitude. It's a team game, and Martin won't put up with players, but he's obviously done his homework on him. He seems happy to get him in. He will be in the Champions League squad, but it's just getting him now up to match fitness. And when he the first time I saw him was in the World Cup, and I have to say he was very impressive. He was obviously stepping up with the level of players he was playing with, because he was playing with international footballers and coming from a relegation. But I did think, especially against Argentina, I thought he looked really good, really exciting.
If you ask about Hassan to a fan from Oviedo, he will have there will be divided opinions, because he's a top player. He has a good dribbling. When he runs, he's unstoppable. But when he doesn't have the game, he sometimes disappears. He doesn't have the best making decision. So it's not a player that has a lot of consistency. But when it's Hassan's day, when Hassan has the day, you saw in versus Argentina, he can be the best of the match. He can be a player that makes the difference, the player that scored a goal, that make an assist, that also make the defenders mind bowling. So it's a player that if Martin O'Neill can make him be regular, he will have a player that will make Celtic fans stand up every game.
Yeah, well, like, we've paid a lot of money for him, £6.6 million with add-ons that could go up, I think, to 9 million, depending on appearances and so forth. Now, it's a lot of money to pay for a player that you're saying was relegated with a team and that the fans are divided. I do think Martin O'Neill will get the best out of him. And I'm very excited about the forward line we could have if we do go with two up front, because you'll have Duran, and when Jota comes back, and Hassan, this could be an exciting times for us. You know, Jota's the type of player that gets you off us. You see Duran, and now if Hassan can get us off our seats, we could be in for an exciting time. We've started the season really well. First game was against Dundee. It wasn't a great game, but we've had 2 away victories since, and we're scoring plenty of goals. There's a nice feeling around the club at the moment, because there was a toxic atmosphere at times last year. So hopefully he doesn't spit the duty out, and hopefully he does become the team player. But I do think that if anyone can get the best out of him, it's Martin O'Neill, because, as I said, it's a lot of money for Celtic to play out on a player who, although he had a good World Cup, was unproven in Spain. Can you take us back to when he arrived in Spain? Because I think originally he signed for Villarreal, who we know a lot about because we've played them in Europe.
Villarreal is a team that always is very good on signing young players that are not well known, and then making them selling them for a lot of money. Hassan arrived from France, one of the second or third category of France. I don't know. I don't remember that. And then they sent on loan to Mirandés, then on a Sporting, and after a Sporting loans finished, he went to Real Oviedo. And that is a point that we have to talk about, but because Sporting and Oviedo are like Celtic and Rangers. They are two teams that are so close. Oviedo and Gijón are cities that are very near, and after Hassan loan at Gijón ended, he went to Oviedo's on a transfer, and many people of Gijón were very angry with the decision. Hassan said that it was the best for his career, but it's obvious that it was controversial in Asturias, this transfer.
Yeah, it's when a player crosses the divide, it's always controversial. Celtic don't have many who cross the divide in Rangers, but we did have a player called Maurice Johnson, who became the first Catholic to play for Rangers. He crossed the divide, and he now lives in North America because he wouldn't be very welcome around Celtic Park. So I can see the point there of the Sporting fans, but he was on loan with them. They would have had the opportunity to buy him maybe, but they didn't. So he goes to the rivals, and then like that, their season was, as you say, like it was a dogfight. They were fighting relegation. So I do believe he's going to have a lot more opportunities going forward. He's going to get a lot more ball, and he is going to have really good players to deliver to. And we've also brought in the Hearts. Last season, the set piece coach at Hearts, he's come to Celtic this year as well. We kind of saw a little of the work he's been doing because we weren't scoring a lot from headers, we weren't scoring a lot from corners, and so far in the short time we've seen both this season. So hopefully he can add to that, because it's going to be it's a long season, because even we're so early in the season, and Kieran Tierney was rested on Saturday. I left full back, so there will be squad rotation. You were saying that he's not too happy sitting on the bench. Well, he may have to wait his time at Celtic until he gets up to fitness, because I don't think it'll be tolerated by the fans or Martin O'Neill. He's too long in the tooth now to put up with, let's just say, that spoiled child antics. So when he does get his chance, he'll have to prove himself. You were saying a bit, about he's inconsistent. So hopefully that improves as well.
And also, I think in Celtic, we'll have best opportunities than in Oviedo, because in Oviedo, many of the balls that he received were in his own pitch, and then he has to run to progress and carry the ball to the other box. And here in Celtic, he will receive the ball more near the opponent box, and we'll have players that can convert what he generates in better opportunities or in goals. Because in Oviedo, there is not the quality of Celtic, it's obvious. What he generated in Oviedo, not always, or not very often, ended in goal. And here in Celtic, he will have Casper Hook, he will have Nigren, Camilo Duran, players that are better and will also take advantage of what Hassan generates.
Yeah, it's exciting times now, because we do get very excited with the Champions League, and we're only 2 games away from it. We missed out last season, and it's going to be an anxious week or so, because I travel to Glasgow on Wednesday, and it's always real tense before this game, because there's so much riding on it for your season. And although we would have liked to see everybody that's coming in before the Champions League to be in the squad, to be available, if we qualify, you may be able to attract other players who may be holding out to see if we do get to the Champions League before making a decision, because it seemed to take an awful long time to get the Hassan deal over the line. The speculation started during the World Cup, and then we were told he was also linked to Liverpool, which would have put us completely out of the picture, because we wouldn't be able to compete with Liverpool or any team in the Premier League when it would come to wages. So thankfully, the interest waned, if they had interest in the first place. But that's what we were led to believe. So we're happy to have him, and I'm happy that you can give us the lowdown on him, because it's interesting. It's interesting that we saw he could go to another level at the World Cup, and hopefully he can take us to the next level at Celtic. So just looking in with your Spanish eyes from watching him over there, and that, do you think he can make the step up?
Yes, I think yes. And now talking about not always Argentina's match was the best, but in the league we have seen very good matches from Hassan. I am from Barcelona, and the match that Oviedo played here in Camp Nou, Hassan in the first half, I don't know if it was Cancelo or Gerard Martin or Eric Garcia, but he did very well, and the defenders had a lot of difficulties, had a lot of problems to stop him. Also, I think what he was in Gijón, that it was 3 years ago, I remember a match from him versus Espanyol, that is the other team from Barcelona, from Catalonia, and he also did very well. So Hassan is a very top player, but now he has to look to go to the next step, that is not also playing in a major scenario, that is in Champions League or with Celtic, that is also be more consistent, do that type of actuations more regular. So, and in Celtic, I think he will find this objective.
Yeah, well, domestically, he won't be up as good against the players you named there from Barcelona or La Liga players, because the La Liga is one of the top leagues in the world. The quality of players is higher that he would have been up against. And he will be playing possibly with this is. I don't want to show any disrespect to Oviedo, but he will possibly be playing with better players at Celtic, international players who shared the World Cup stage with him. And at Celtic, he will be expected to win every game domestically. So the pressure to deliver on a constant basis, you don't get much room for inconsistency at Celtic, or you'll find yourself out of the team. So it is exciting, because I reflect back on that Argentina game. You mentioned it there; that was his best game. He really was. If there was a show reel to put him into the market, that was a game you would put in, because he was up against a really good team there as well. So it's always good to talk to you, because you always go into some great detail, and you've wrote a piece on him for the next issue of the Fanzine, which we are working on at the moment. We should have had it out this week, but as usual, we're traveling to see Celtic, so that takes up a bit of time, and then we're trying to do as I say, our day jobs and make a few shillings. Anything else to add before we let you go?
Well, I will see also the match versus Las Linz. I don't know if it would be at the same time at the match is played or the next day, but I will try to see the game, because I think it will be a good opportunity for Celtic to qualify to the to this Champions League phase of groups. Las Linz I have seen that hasn't lost a lot of players in this summer, but Celtic is obvious that has better players. Players that, as you have said, have played in the World Cup. Also in Champions League, they have experience. So I think Celtic have the opportunity, a big opportunity to qualify, but the last year he also had this big opportunity against Kairat Almaty, and they lost. So I think they have recovered from that.
Yeah, and Lask are a better team than Karagandhi. Karagandhi were very poor. I predicted they wouldn't win a game in the Champions League. I don't think they did. I think only Ajax finished below them, and that they had a terrible season. So hopefully, I said it on the podcast with Michael last week. I said it's a 50-50 game. He said no, it's a 60-40 game in our favour. How do you see it?
It will be a big surprise for me if Celtic doesn't qualify. So I will say 70-30.
Okay, I'm loving your confidence. But come, like, the atmosphere will be, it's always great on a Champions League night in Celtic Park. But I'm always quite tense before. Sometimes I tend not to enjoy the game till it's over. and then watch the highlights back, and you can enjoy it then. But I've certainly enjoyed watching us over the last two games. Plenty of goals and good good atmosphere in the stadiums, both home and away. So hopefully we get there, and we'll keep in contact, Vincenzo, and we'll talk again. We also signed another player, Bar, from Germany. So he comes in an German under-21 international. So he came off the bench as well. Martin O'Neill believes he's a little fitter than Hassan, but we lost Engels to West Ham, the bright lights of London and money. So he's going to play his football in the Championship. We knew he was going to go because they weren't going to refuse that money, but we had hoped we could hold on to him until the Champions League qualifiers were over. And, but I suppose we mixed feelings about him going, because he's the type of player that covered a lot of ground. He had his critics, but I think overall we need to replace him. We don't have anyone at the club
In penalties, he was excellent.
Sorry?
In penalties, he always scored.
His set pieces were quite good. A confident young lad to take his penalties. But he's gone now. We have to move on. And we are kind of watching the transfer window to see if they can bring in a player, because, again, his sale has paid for the other two players to come in. So the war chest that was in of money that was there from last season is still there. So hopefully they'll speculate on a couple of more signings. We think we need a goalkeeper in. We need cover at left back. We need another midfielder. So and Alistair Johnson, he's got injured. So he was speculated to go to Everton, but now he's injured. He won't be fit until after the transfer window. So we may have him till Christmas. We may have him beyond, because he's an exceptional player and one we didn't want to lose either. So you don't want to see a player getting injured, but you don't want to see a player leaving. And this is kind of, I think he won't be back till October. And we have a young player called Kobe Donovan, who's come through our youth academy. Probably not the finished article yet, but a big chance for him now to stake a claim, and it looks like he will be first choice for the Champions League. So interesting times. I hope you tune in. I'll be in contact with you, and we'll talk again. Thank you very much, my friend.
Thank you to you to invite me. It was a pleasure.
And always informative. I've said it before for such a young man, but I knew you. I knew after Bodo Glimt you knew your stuff when you told us about who. But when we signed Hassan, I went, I know the man I can talk to about his signing for the podcast.
Thank you very much.
Have a great week, and hopefully you'll be cheering for Celtic.